Hello, everyone. It's Laura Lee Rourke with the It's Not About Food podcast. And today we are shooting a video. And the video is the Awareness Body Love cards that Carol Normandy and I made many years ago. The front of the card shows the goddess sort of lighting a candle in the dark so that she can see better. And her dog animal, power animal, is just sort of watching what she's doing. It's a very sweet card. It has a lot of sort of day into night kind of a feeling to it. It's a nice little meditation card. And so the back of it reads, awareness is awakening to ourselves exactly as we are in the present moment. In order to heal our struggle with food and weight, we must become aware of patterns, of emotions, of bodily sensations, and diet fat thoughts. Only by watching and working with ourselves in the moment can we truly understand what we need. And so I wanted to say about this card, the name of it is awareness, but it also can be consciousness. And it could also be woke. And we got that word woke from the Black community that told each other, probably forever, stay woke, which meant stay aware, stay conscious of what's going on around you. As a people who were enslaved and just not allowed to vote for a very long time, and stuff going on now and has been forever, their life depended on them staying aware, staying conscious, staying woke. That's what they said, woke. So I feel like, why is that a bad thing in the culture that we're living in right now, in the political culture? That, people are too woke, that too many people have equal rights or whatever. It's just a ridiculous thing. But so coming back to the person, me, I need to stay woke. I need to know what I'm doing, how I'm feeling, what's my body doing, how's my head in this race right now, body, mind, and spirit, what am I doing? And so in the way of eating disorders, it means to become aware of what you're doing with food and become aware of how much you hate your body. And that wasn't that much fun when I was told that that's what I needed to do. When I was suggested if I didn't want to have an eating disorder, that almost killed me several times, that I needed to see what I was doing. Ask these simple questions. Are you hungry? Are you full? What is it that your body is asking you for? Why? Where have I learned to hate my body as much as I did? How come I've always been on a diet since I was a child? What started that? What was that about? And was that in my best interest? No, it was not. It made me worse, a million times worse. So not knowing what to eat and leaving it to somebody else to tell me what to eat meant being on a diet for me. And then, of course, because I was never going to be perfect enough, I then needed to be on a more strict diet, always a more strict diet. And a lot of them I read in magazines or in books to do crazy stuff. But I also made up stuff. Like it was a really good idea to sort of, with meditation, sort of let go of all the food in my life and just get a clean vessel in about 4 or 5 days. And, because the monks did it and because people who did this on retreats, that might be a good idea. It wasn't a good idea for me because I didn't do it in that way. I starved myself, didn't eat for days and days, and then I would come off it eating boxes of cereal and packages of cookies and as much stuff as I could force into my mouth and my tummy at a time. Until then, I would get rid of the food somehow. So I did a lot of weird things about food and getting rid of food, and would over-exercise. I would use laxatives. There's so many ways to do that. And I just was on this cycle over and over again. Eat, starve, eat, starve, eat, starve, eat, starve. My little body was like, boop, big, boop, small, big, small, medium. But none of them did I really like or did I feel free. I certainly wasn't aware of what was going on with me. And I did not want anyone to say anything to me. So I never told anyone about a lot of the things I was doing with food and a lot of things I was doing about my weight. Anyway, so to get well, I had people who I trusted very much say, you have to stop that. First of all, you have to stop dieting. Stop dieting. I read a book called Fat is a Feminist Issue in the 70s. And it was the first time I ever even heard the notion that you could let go of dieting and that you could feed yourself and you could let go of body hatred. I had no idea that that was possible. But I followed it as well as I could at that time. I still suffered for a long time, but in the 80s, I was able to start to do that. I stopped dieting, I stopped worrying about my weight, and I stopped being crazy with food and weight. So I learned when I'm hungry, I learned when I'm full, and I learned what my body wanted. And that was the awareness that I needed. And I also learned that I should stop hating my body, that that's probably not a good idea for me to hate my body that much, that I'll probably never be happy with however way my body was. And I really didn't have any idea what my natural weight was. I had started starving when I was 12, and I was a model. Teen model, and I was put on a starvation diet by people who this is what they did. And I was already very thin, but you needed to be thinner because Twiggy. So it's just the way it was, and nobody batted an eye. My mother didn't, my agent didn't, nobody did. The people that I modeled for didn't. So it just ruined me forever. But I already was like that because my mother was always on a diet. My family was always on a diet. It's just the way that things were. And we all didn't like what we looked like if we weren't on a diet. So it was just the way it was. So to become aware of how long I had suffered from this hatred of myself and food, it was not an easy healing process, but I stuck with it and I became more and more aware. Well, as it happens, a lot of the time you become aware of something. You not only change your own life, but I looked around at my friends or my people that I worked with and thought, oh my God, we're all like this. So I decided that I wanted to talk about this with other people, especially women of my own age. And I started a group, and it was really just reading a couple of books with a group of women trying to do a non-diet approach to letting yourself let go of eating disorders. And that was in maybe 86, I guess. And so I hate, like in the before times, a long time ago, but I met Carol Normandy, and the group was good, and I learned a lot, and I was better. Every time I went to group, I was better. Every week I was better. I let go of the body hatred. I let go of the starvation. I let go of the binging. I let go of just the whole thing that was trying to kill me, really. And I met Carol Normandy and we started a group. And then we went nonprofit. We called the group Beyond Hunger. And that was since 1988. Carol and I then wrote 2 books. It's Not About Food was our first one, and that's for adult women. And then Over It was our second one, and that's for teenage girls. And then we have these pack body cards. There's 32 of them. You throw them in a bowl, and you pick one out every day. And then in a month, you'll have like kind of the principles of learning how to love yourself, love your body, love your food, and be free of eating disorders. That sounds way too easy. I mean, it was many 30 days. It wasn't just one 30-day time frame. So what I want to say is the helpful hints at the bottom of this card say, today I will practice. Practice is the word, because I was such a perfectionist. I would have to say, today I will do this. But no, I will practice becoming aware of one of the following. Only one of the following will I become aware of every day. When I'm hungry, number one, that's just, okay, then that's that for that day. What I'm hungry for, well, nothing or everything was my 2 choices. So I had to really ask my body, what did it need? What was it really needing? What did it want? You know, in the whole world, there's a lot of different kind of food. So what in the whole world would I like to eat? And then when I'm full, and I just bypass that a lot of the time because I was either always starving or binging. So if I was starving, I did not know when I was full. It was when I just passed out. If I was binging, I didn't want to know when I was full because that would stop the binge. And then lay on top of that to be aware of my feelings about what I was eating, about when, where, what. You know, that was crazy time for me. And be aware of how much worry, how much space it took up in my head to worry about my weight, my looks, my everything about me. It just took up so much time. Now I did have a job. I did have jobs. I had a son. I had a husband. I had a life, and I could have those things. But the whole while there was a little ticker tape running through my head of, when am I going to eat? What am I going to eat? How am I going to eat? Why can't I weigh what that person weighs? How much does that person weigh? What does she eat? Maybe I should eat what she eats. It was just this constant run of information that was not helpful at all. So, and then the other thing, to practice how many times throughout the day I have diet or fat thoughts. So that was like it. Am I going to go on a diet? What kind of diet? Where's the book? What can I do? I would watch TV. I would get a diet, and I would go on that diet immediately. And then, of course, within a week or 2 weeks or a month, I would be off of that diet and into a horse trough. And then the fat thoughts, on and on and on and on. It was never thin enough, really, never thin enough. That old saying of, you're never rich enough or thin enough. I beg to differ. I beg to differ, because obviously seeing the bazillionaires that we have around, you can be too rich. And seeing how thin people can get and die of starvation. You know, there's a statistic that every 53 minutes, somebody in America dies of an eating disorder. That's how deadly it is. I had no idea. I was not trying to kill myself. I was just trying to be perfectly thin. And perfectly otherwise too, always perfect. Then the last thing about this is today I will practice doing all of this with compassion. And that was the kicker. You know, I could do this stuff for a while, but since I had no compassion for myself, I only messed up. That's all I did. So when I came to myself with a very compassionate idea, it's okay. You don't know how to eat. You haven't eaten because you're hungry in a really long time. That's okay. You don't know what your body wants to weigh. You haven't been a natural weight for a really long time. You don't know what it's like to not hate your body. It's okay, but you're learning how to do it. I would talk to myself as if I was my own friend. I had my back. I loved me. I love you, Lori Lee. I love you. We're going to figure this out. I don't know how. I don't know how we're going to do it, but we are. And we're going to go back to when you ate like a baby, like you ate when you were hungry and you stopped when you were full, and you ate what your body wanted. I was talking to my mother at some point during the 80s, and she says, I don't know that we've ever eaten like when we were hungry and stopped when we were full. She said, when you guys were babies, there was a time feeding. So I would feed you, and I would look at my watch, and it was 10 o'clock, say, and I wasn't allowed to feed you for 4 hours. So you could scream and yell, but I could not feed you. This is what the doctors told me to do for your brother, for your sister, and for you. So no wonder, I haven't been in charge of my own food in a long time. So I had to learn, is what I'm saying. I had to learn. And even if you were fed perfectly as a child, millions of things happen to make us slide into an eating disorder. The same way with my body. I don't remember ever liking my body, but at some point I have seen my own grandchild stand in front of a mirror as a very young little tiny person and look at herself and think, oh, hi, there's my friend. She loved what she looked like. And I watch other little kids, discover their hand or their foot or their leg, and they can't believe how great it is. I lost all of that at some point because I live in a diet society. So what I'm trying to say is, you can do this. I don't care what happened before, you can start today. Before you eat today, ask yourself, are you hungry? Where do you feel hunger? Ask yourself, out of the whole world, what would feed that hunger the best? Try to eat that. And then the baddest question of all, am I done? Am I full? Do I feel satisfied? And can I stop? And then coupled with that, you have to have this next piece. You drop the diet fat thoughts. You're not fat, you're not thin. You just have a body, and right now, this is how it is. For today, radical acceptance. It is what it is today. That doesn't mean you're going to be however way for the rest of your life, because that's not possible. We are all going to change. We're going to get older. If we are lucky enough to live, our bodies are going to go through a million changes right up until the very last minute that we're here on earth. You cannot control this. Many people, myself included, almost died trying, but you can't. You have to let it go. This is my body today at 74, almost 75. This is not my natural hair color, but it's okay. And I don't worry about it. If some little white hairs stick out once in a while, okay. And I'm not hungry right this minute. But I know when I do get hungry, I know I'll ask myself, what would I like to eat? And then, what is this good? Is this satisfying? Are you done? That's it. And then I go on with my life, and I don't worry about my fat, my thinness, my food, my drinking, I want water. Who knew that was going to happen? I was a drinker before. I could drink a lot. I haven't drank in a long time. It doesn't even cross my mind that maybe I should order a glass of wine. No, that doesn't even cross my mind, because I saw that I couldn't handle it. And it's the same way with dieting. I am not well enough person to handle a diet. It's better if I just let my body choose. That's much better. My head has been tainted by the culture that I live in, and I have to be aware of that and know that thoughts go through my head. That doesn't mean I have to do them. So the whole point of this little video today is awareness. Become aware. Become conscious of you, of what you're doing, what you're saying to you, how much you love yourself, what you're going to do for you today. Stay woke. Stay woke. I'll see you next time. Thank you.